I'm here because I want to ask you a question. Why try to fit in when you were born to stand out? My first ever memory of stammering was in a school play. I was 8 years old. I had learnt my lines off by heart. And the time came, a little bit like this now. The spotlight was on me. All the mums and dads watching, all the teachers watching, and all my fellow pupils watching. And for what seemed like an eternity, no words came. Only body movements came. And I ran off stage at 8 years young, broken, asking myself already, why am I different? Why do I have to have a stutter? Why me? I want to challenge us already. Whenever we find ourselves asking, why me? Just change the first bit and ask yourself, try me. I ran off stage. At that point, you could definitely say that what ended my acting career. High school, as you have seen up there. When my mum or dad used to shout me on the morning for school, before I opened my eyes, I was thinking, oh no, I can't do this again, not for another day. How am I going to save my bus fare today? Because that and this is how we used to order it. 15, please. Why, yes. The other students on the bus, sometimes the bus driver would be laughing. Not a great start to the day. I'd like to tell you about my first date at high school. One of the prettiest girls asked me, stutter boy, to go on a date. I thought it was a joke. Why on earth would anybody want to go out with me? Why? But I thought, why not? Just go, try your best, have a go at it. What's the worst that could happen? And I did. I went on a date with this girl, really pretty girl, and I did what I now call my tap dance routine all the way through the date. I believe we have to have a sense of humour in the right way. And then as I left her, I managed to get a good night kiss. And I skipped all the way home. Finally thinking, someone has looked beyond the way that I speak, and they've seen the person inside, the real person. And I skipped all the way home. And I didn't get much sleep that night because I was in love. And then I went to school. Next day I went through my usual routine, bus fare, register. Yes, sir. And I spotted this girl at break, and I went up to her. I said, hi. And this is what she said. Are you ready for this? She said to me, "Get away, you freak." Bang! That moment was a defining moment in my life. I've got hundreds of these types of stories that I could tell you to really reinforce this point, but I don't want to focus on the negative. I want to focus on transformation. I want to focus on breakthrough today. I want to give you some weapons to battle your beasts with. 6 in total. And acronyms have already been used today. Well, this is an acronym. It's called RAPIDS, for Riding the Rapids of Life. RAPIDS. First one, please listen carefully. I've not got much time to speak in your life, but I'm not going to waste it either. And I don't make any apologies for the passion that I speak with. Because I know everybody in this room struggling with something. Whoever you are, might not be a stutter or a stammer. And it might not be as big as what other people's are. But we all struggle. The first one, remember this please, are responsibility. Responsibility. When I was 24, and I really want to reinforce this, don't wait until you're 24. You can start this process now. Everybody in this room. Personal responsibility. I'd failed at everything up to my life until I was 24, when I had a son. I've got scars where I've self-harmed. I've been there with a razor blade ready to let rip because of the pain. I'd failed at everything in life. Everything. Took drugs. Been locked up in prison. Yes, yes. That was my life. When I had a son, he was growing up, I couldn't read him a bedtime story, and I weren't going to fail as a daddy. No. Well, live or die, this one. I went to the doctors and asked the doctor for some help. And this is what the doctor said to me. He said, "You cannot be helped. If you stammer into adulthood, you cannot be helped." So I walked out that room, rejected, dejected, devastated. Six months went by, and I plucked up the courage to go again. Going to the doctors was an ordeal. Up into my late 20s, I used to carry a pen and some paper in my back pocket to write things down when I was trying to speak, and my face would get so embarrassed it would turn into a tomato. So I had my safety net. The doctors, the lady on the reception, every time, Craig Hammond. But I plucked up the courage to go again. Walked in the room, he said again, "I'm sorry, but I already told you. I can't help you. No one can help you." You know what? I believed him. I believed him because I was from a rough estate, an ex-mining village. I left school with no qualifications, drugs, alcohol, no future. I believed the doctor. If you don't take anything away, take this one away. Be very, 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 very careful of who you let influence your mind. If you're doing anything now that you know that you shouldn't be doing, but you daren't say no, then take responsibility. Not yesterday, not in a week, now. Now. I left the doctors again, gutted, rejected, devastated, still struggling to read my son a bedtime story. Another 6 months went by, and my son was reaching a stage where I could not get away with the go talk. He understood language and communication. I went to the doctors again. Take personal responsibility. I sat down in the doctor's office, looked him in the eye, and I said, "Doctor, I've come for some help. I cannot read my son a bedtime story. Please help me." He said, "You've already been twice. I can't help you." I looked him in the eye. The doctor, this big doctor, who I'd put on a pedestal, who were better than me. I looked him in the eye, and this is what I said. These are defining moments in life. Have them. I said, "Well then, doctor." And I never stammered when I were angry. But I can't go around all the time shouting. I said, "You better call the police, because I ain't going nowhere, pal." And I think it was that did him on end, the pal. I don't think he appreciated the pal bit. And he stared me out. He stared me out. But I won. And he referred me to a speech therapist. And within 6 weeks, I was sat in an hospital room learning new techniques. Take responsibility. What is R? What is R? Responsible. A, attitude. Whether you're black, white, red, yellow, disabled, whatever, we all have those two voices in our head at times. I call them victor and victim. Right, victim's the one that held me in that place for all those years. The thoughts thinking I can't, I won't ever be good enough. I want to tell you all something now in this room. You're good enough. You are good enough as you are right now. You're good enough right now to do whatever it is that you want to do. You are good enough. But the voice of victim used to drown my voice of victor out. Victor's the one who gives you that victory. Victory in your life. Over situations that depress you, deject you, reject you. Tune in. Listen. And when you are aware of it, remind yourself that you from now on, you're going to take responsibility and listen to victor, not victim. And I know the world's not pink and fluffy. I'm not on this stage saying everything's wonderful and beautiful, no. But we can choose to change which voice we listen to. And when you do, the results you have is unbelievable. Well, look at me. Look at me now. And that isn't to impress you, it's to impress upon you that if Stutter Boy can do it, what can you do? What can you do? P. P stands for potential. Wrote a book. It's called Climb Your Mountain. Climb's an acronym as well for commitment, leadership, inspiration, motivation and bravery. That tracks my journey from Stutter Boy to stage. It isn't an autobiography, it's got helpful hints in it. When I used to tell people that I was going to write a book, do you know what they said to me? You? Really? What world are you living in, Craig? You can't write a book, you're from a rough estate. You left school with no qualifications. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are, Craig? Well, I know who I am now, and that's nobody special. It's just a person working hard on his life, because I still speak like that. Oh yes, potential. If I've got the potential to write a book and stand on this stage, then you've got the potential to do or be anything. Have you heard the story about the little African insects? Anybody? In Africa, the young people catch these little insects. They're minute, you can hardly see them, and they catch them and they put them in a box. And they keep them for a couple of days as pets. A couple of days. That's important. And then after the young people are bored with them, they let these insects out. But before they went in the box, these insects can jump 20 feet high. 20 feet high. I'd like some brave people. Have a guess how high they could jump after they'd been out of the box, which is, let's say, that big. Have a guess. Yes? A foot. Anybody else? 40 foot. Ooh, yes. The height of the box, because in 2 days they have been conditioned. Because every time that insect bangs themselves and experiences pain, stops jumping. Young people in this room especially, do not ever stop jumping, please. Old people as well, if I'm allowed to say old. Young people, listen again, it's the same one. Be very, 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 very careful of who you allow to influence you. And if it's anybody that's stopping you from jumping, you don't need them in your life. I'm sorry, I'm going to be as blatant as that. Iceberg. Have I got a lot of time left? 5 minutes. Iceberg. We all have an iceberg. I will explain mine to you. At the top, the tip is what everybody sees, but underneath there is a mass amount. Everybody saw that. But they didn't see the hurt and the pain and embarrassment and frustration and suicidal thoughts. Everybody's got one. Speak to people who you trust about your iceberg. Listen, speak to people who you trust about your feelings. Inner peace, battling your beasts. This is what it's all about, people. This is real. This is real life. And you don't need to have a stomach to experience an iceberg. D, defining moments. Defining moments. Young people, you're going to be in situations where you get asked to do things. Have the courage to stand up for what you believe in. Have the courage to say no. Stand out. Why fit in when you were born to stand out? Why? That's the question I want to ask you today. S. Success. When we all start life with a microscopic little seed, we start life with at least 250 million others. Wow! It's a massive thought. You needed a microscope to see me. Now you don't. 250 million, I was one of them. Guess what? It was me! It was me! And it was you, and you, and you, and you, and you. And I don't think that's by chance. Not everybody agrees with me. That's fine. That's fine. I can accept that. That's not by chance. You are here because you are a winner. That's why you are here on this earth, because you're a winner. This is my last point, and I've got to sit down. I'm really sorry. I want to stay up here all day and speak into your young people's lives. I always wanted to work with young people, but I was stuck in a factory making windows for a long time, until I got brave enough to go back to university and do a degree in youth work studies. When I went to Leeds Metropolitan University for the first time, I got off the train, looked at the buildings and thought, I'm in the wrong place. What are you doing here, Craig? You were just from a small mining community. But then Victor kicked in and said, no, you're not. You deserve to be here, Craig. You deserve to be here. Last point. Any scrap metal? Who knows what an alchemist is? Young person, if you tell me, I'm going to give you a book for free. Yes? Very last point, Jean. All right, and then I'm finished. I've done. Alchemy. Alchemy. It's not just an old traditional art. Alchemy is for now. Because in alchemy, you turn scrap metal into gold. But not just the scrap metal is in iron or lead. I'm talking about sadness. I'm talking about fear. I'm talking about frustration. I'm talking about embarrassment. I'm talking about suicidal thoughts. I'm talking about all that scrap metal and using it for energy to do things like I'm doing now. I don't know what you want to do, but I know what you can do with all your scrap metal. You can use it for energy and propel yourself to a place that you never thought it was imaginable. Turn your scrap metal into gold by facing your fears, battling your beast. Right, this and we're done. What's R, please, loud? A. P. We're getting quiet. I. D. S. You are a success.
Again, Craig Hammond.